Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will talk about a new topic. Subscribe to the channel or like the video or comment your feedback. Let's start playing the video. Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Meurisse is a deeply reflective and practical guide that explores the art of emotional control, drawing from psychological insights, mindfulness, and cognitive restructuring techniques. The book's central premise is that emotions are not uncontrollable forces that rule our lives, but responses that can be managed and reshaped. By mastering our emotions, we can profoundly change our mental landscape, experience more peace, and make decisions from a place of inner calm. The nature of emotions: reactions, not realities. Meurisse opens with a crucial distinction that forms the foundation of the book. Emotions are not facts. They are responses to how we interpret the world around us. Our emotions are often the product of our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes rather than direct reflections of reality. This means that while we may feel a certain way about an event, the event itself is neutral until we assign meaning to it. This insight empowers the reader. If our emotions are shaped by how we think, then by changing our thought patterns, we can change how we feel. Meurisse argues that emotional mastery begins with self-awareness, learning to observe our thoughts and understand how they fuel our emotions. By recognizing that our interpretations are subjective, we can challenge them and begin to reshape our emotional responses. Cognitive distortions, the root of emotional turmoil. A key concept in the book is the idea of cognitive distortions. These are habitual ways of thinking that lead to inaccurate perceptions of reality and consequently negative emotions. Common cognitive distortions include catastrophizing, expecting the worst possible outcome, black and white thinking, viewing situations in extremes, and emotional reasoning, believing that because we feel something, it must be true. Meurisse provides a detailed exploration of how these distortions shape our emotional world. For example, when we interpret minor setbacks as catastrophes, we amplify feelings of anxiety or fear. Similarly, when we think in all or nothing terms, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment because we fail to see the nuances in life. The book encourages readers to become conscious of these thought patterns and replace them with more balanced, rational perspectives. By doing so, we can prevent negative emotions from taking control of our mental state. Breaking the emotional feedback loop. One of the deeper insights of the book is the concept of the emotional feedback loop. Emotions and thoughts are closely intertwined, and they reinforce one another. When we experience a negative emotion, it often triggers negative thoughts, which in turn amplify the emotion. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle of emotional distress. For example, feeling anxious about a situation can lead to thoughts that reinforce the anxiety, such as "I'll never be able to handle this," which in turn makes the anxiety worse. The emotional feedback loop keeps us trapped in negative states unless we take conscious action to break it. Meurisse offers practical advice for disrupting this cycle. He teaches readers to observe their emotions without judgment, which is the first step toward breaking the loop. By simply acknowledging the emotion without feeding it with additional negative thoughts, we create space between the feeling and the response. This is where mindfulness comes into play. Mindfulness and emotional mastery. The practice of mindfulness, as discussed in the book, is one of the most effective tools for mastering emotions. Mindfulness is about being present with your thoughts and feelings without being consumed by them. It allows us to observe our emotions from a distance, rather than identifying with them. Meurisse explains that when we feel an emotion, especially a negative one, we often react impulsively, either by trying to suppress it or by becoming overwhelmed by it. Mindfulness teaches us to simply notice the emotion and let it pass without reacting. This practice helps us regain control over our responses and prevents emotions from dictating our actions. He also discusses how meditation is a powerful way to cultivate mindfulness. Through meditation, we train our minds to focus on the present moment and develop the ability to witness our emotions without being swept away by them. This helps in developing emotional resilience and inner calm. The power of reframing. Transforming negative experiences. Cognitive reframing is another powerful tool highlighted in the book. This technique involves changing the way we interpret events in order to alter our emotional response. Meurisse encourages readers to reframe negative experiences as opportunities for growth, rather than as personal failures or sources of pain. For instance, if you lose your job, the initial emotional response may be one of fear, sadness, or anger. However, by reframing the situation, You might view it as a chance to pursue a more fulfilling career or as an opportunity for personal development. This shift in perspective reduces the emotional impact of the event and allows you to approach it with a more positive mindset. Reframing is not about denying reality or being overly optimistic. It's about choosing a more empowering interpretation of events. By reframing our experiences, we can reduce the emotional burden they carry and open ourselves to new possibilities. Emotional resilience. Thriving in adversity. Life is full of challenges, and no matter how much we try to control our emotional responses, we will inevitably face situations that test our resilience. Emotional resilience, according to Meurisse, is the ability to bounce back from setbacks and maintain emotional equilibrium in the face of adversity. The book emphasizes that building emotional resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about learning to navigate them with grace. This involves accepting that discomfort and negative emotions are a natural part of life. Instead of resisting or avoiding these emotions, we should embrace them as part of our human experience. Meurisse suggests several strategies for building resilience, including practicing gratitude, focusing on long-term goals, and cultivating a strong sense of purpose. When we are anchored in a larger sense of meaning and purpose, the daily ups and downs of life have less power to disturb our emotional balance. Living with intention, aligning actions with values. Finally, the book touches on the importance of living with intention. Emotional mastery is not just about controlling negative emotions, but about creating a life that aligns with our deepest values and aspirations. When we live intentionally, we make conscious choices that reflect what matters most to us. This sense of alignment brings greater emotional fulfillment and peace. Meurisse encourages readers to define their core values and live in accordance with them. By doing so, we reduce the internal conflict that arises when our actions are out of sync with our beliefs. Living with purpose gives our lives direction and makes it easier to navigate emotional challenges because we are grounded in something greater than our immediate circumstances. Conclusion: the path to emotional freedom. In Master Your Emotions, Thibaut Meurisse offers a profound and practical guide to emotional mastery. By understanding the nature of emotions, breaking negative thought patterns, practicing mindfulness, and living with intention, we can gain control over our emotional landscape and create a more balanced, fulfilling life. The journey to emotional freedom is not about suppressing or avoiding emotions, but about embracing them with awareness, understanding, and wisdom. Through this process, we can transform our relationship with our emotions and unlock a deeper sense of inner peace and personal empowerment.